Watch, and we're joined tonight by Olivia Salazar-Winspear. Hello, Olivia. Good to see you. We're going to start off in the Middle East. Now, I just mentioned Europe trying to come up with solutions to its immigration challenges. They've got something slightly different, haven't they, when they're testing people who want to come and live in the Gulf states?
Yeah, well, it's a screening process, not quite the same as we have in Europe. Today, a Kuwaiti paper, Al Rai, reported on an initiative. This is Al Rai, the paper here, initiative to be introduced in Kuwait so that their Ministry of Health says that they can now do a test that will screen people and detect homosexuality in individuals seeking to live or work.
Because it's illegal in many of these countries.
No, that's the thing. It's the Gulf Cooperation countries, which includes Bahrain, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. So they say that they will screen people for homosexuality and then they will prevent them from entering the country. They say it's a routine checkup. This article published by Gulf News, in English, of course, so we can read it a bit more easily. Now, that's published in Dubai, where, of course, it's also illegal to be an open homosexual. They don't give any details as to how they're going to screen people. This technology that they've developed, this medical test that they're going to do, no indication of how that's going to work.
It's an attempt at scaremongering, I would imagine.
Well, it has certainly got a lot of people scared, and a lot of people speculating on the internet saying that this medical test may just be an HIV test, a blood test that will show whether people are infected with HIV, thus conflating HIV with homosexuality in a completely disassociated way. Yeah,
Right.
that old myth, exactly. Of course, other papers had more fun with it. The Atlantic had a great headline saying, Kuwait thinks its gaydar is good enough to ban gays from the country, saying, what are they going to do, a lie detector test or a metal detector like at the airport? And then they continue a little bit more seriously saying, well, given the very high intolerance for homosexuality in many countries, not just the Middle East, many LGBT people are forced to live in the closet to conceal their sexuality, and how will that come up in a test? So good luck, Kuwait, is what they're saying.
Okay, all right, let's move on to another story. This one a bit closer to home, isn't it, Olivia? And we've heard some grumbling about the way our newsroom is organised. But over at our competitors, I think you call them Fox News, they've got something entirely different, haven't they?
Yes, well, they've had a makeover. They've been moving around their newsroom.
As happens in newsrooms everywhere, I can
Yes,
assure you.
they've got a show called The News Deck. That's their breaking news set. Now, this is the anchor, Shepard Smith. He made a little video to introduce us to the concept of their newsroom, which is something I didn't know that channels did, but they do. They've changed the decor because their audience has changed.
What are these
They've
huge screens?
No, this is the big talking point, the huge screens, as well as the video wall. The huge screens that you can see the journalists working on are called BATs, which big area touch screens, which he says in the video with absolutely no irony, which amused pretty much everyone else in the media all day. The Huffington Post were quick to cover the story. They say, this new news desk is blowing our minds, literally. The Independent in the UK.
I mean, what if you get an email and you don't want people to see it? You're in trouble there,
I'm
aren't
just going
you?
to bring up this issue of privacy.
Yeah.
The Independent in the UK called it giant iPads for Oompa Loompas there, and you can see they've done a little Photoshop job. Oompa Loompas working on these massive
Oompa Loompas from Willy
iPads.
Wonka.
Yeah, the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
Factory.
Factory film, of course, a reference there. And then on Twitter, people were saying, no, hang on, is this actually a parody? You know, is this for real? Or one journalist from Mashable said, actually, maybe it's not massive screens. Maybe these are just very, very tiny journalists that they've got working on them. Yes.
And does he ever get to sit down at the desk, or does he have to constantly
He
stand
wanders
in front of
around
it?
looking at these massive screens. But BuzzFeed, of course, have addressed this issue of privacy, saying these massive screens will show absolutely everyone at home what you're working on. They seem to serve no journalistic purpose, just to make it more visible to the viewer. For example, I mean, looking at Twitter on a screen that side is just stupid, really. As they're saying, look, here's some Fox journalists playing solitaire or Pac-Man, So not exactly perhaps the impression they wanted to make today with their makeover.
Could be fun to have one at home, though, couldn't it?
I want one in the newsroom. I
You
think
want
we
one?
should get them
Maybe
here.
we could get you installed here
Yeah,
in the
a
studio.
massive one
Just
for
you
me.
in a big screen. All right, Olivia, thank you very much indeed. And that's it for Media Watch. Well, it's time now to move on to tonight's Focus Report. And as the government here in France is taking continuous steps to crack down on prostitution, across the border in Germany, They've been doing just the opposite. 10 years ago, Berlin legalised prostitution, and since